do.
When did you start then on AWS? Because if you did this, you must have been a very early adopter.
CC2 8 extra larges.
Oh. It was a 2-socket server, each with 8 hardware cores. Yeah. Do you know who the product manager was for that instance? A guy called Deepak Singh.
Oh, I think I've met that guy.
Yeah.
But where did you start doing CFD?
So I did a PhD long time ago. I didn't really want to do a PhD. I wanted a job. And I applied for a job, and they said, the company I applied to said, we haven't got any jobs, but we've got this PhD you can apply for. So I applied for that. They then went bust and left me in the lurch doing this PhD. But there was a link there from the company that were funding it originally used to make race cars, and they had a link to a company who did CFD. I don't think it was of any use to anybody in the grand scheme of things, but it sort of exposed me to like race car CFD. I've been in and about race cars since I was kind of 15, so that's kind of my...
We have a customer called Big Ass Fans. They're big open. They're OpenFOAM users. I actually got Peter DeSantis to stand on stage at reInvent a few years ago and talk about Big Ass Fans. But it's really interesting. Their use case is a really interesting one, and I think it tracks the curve of CFD over the last 20 odd years. Because what they do, they've got an app on an iPad that they give to their salespeople. When they're out in the field, they can use this app on the iPad to sketch out the layout of, warehouse or factory or whatever. And then they can hit a button from the iPad and it sends a simulation into the cloud. And 10, 15 minutes later, after they've had a coffee with the customer, they've got the simulation results back and they can actually look at the thing. Now, roll back 20 years prior, and those kinds of simulations were being done on supercomputers, the kind that I was building at the time. And now Big Ass Fans is doing this stuff in the cloud for like $1.75 an hour or something.
So I've been doing this for myself for kind of 12 years or so, something like that. And I've got a MacBook, that's it. Everything else is on AWS. So whatever hardware I'd have bought, whether this had been 12 years ago or what, I would never have had the right amount of hardware. I've got a really spiky workload. Sometimes I've got loads of stuff to do, sometimes I've got nothing. So the combination of easy to get to hardware that can run CFD and an open source CFD code where it really doesn't care either how much I run or where I run it. Those two are like that's like the perfect storm.
So that's realistically, that's what's created your job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd be doing the same thing, but for a bigger company that had got the hardware and that had paid for the licenses. There's plenty of people who do the same thing as me, but it's opened up a pathway that doesn't exist otherwise.
So this is that democratization thing happening.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So when did you're kind of well known for doing this mailing list, where you send out tips and tricks. So when did that start, and what was the sort of motivation to...
So the motivation for I've been doing that for about 3 years. The newsletter was, to be honest, it was probably a bit of a selfish endeavour, as in I'm learning stuff all the time doing what I do. So I'm essentially kind of documenting it for myself and posting it out to other people who might be interested. I just kind of share the sort of stuff that I've been doing for a while because I don't see it in many other places.
Why do you think that is? I mean, is this...
I don't know. I think there's a sort of secret sauce element to some of it in terms of people don't want... There's like this idea that it's kind of... that you're sharing kind of your proprietary secret sauce, the thing that kind of gives you an advantage over other people. But I don't kind of see it like that. In fact, I'd be worried if I was on the other side of it. So if I'd got a if I was doing something with the similar software that I do, and I'd got some line of business that was supported by the fact that I'd got some secret source, I'd be kind of worried that somebody else might.
You'd be worried about what else is it that you don't know that somebody's not telling you because they want to extract some rent out of you.
Quite often I'm waiting for somebody to email me back and go, no, that's not how you do it. You don't do it like that. No. Have you seen this? This is what you want to be doing.
I know exactly that. Oh yeah, you need to set this, and then it's going to work for you. But people don't know that.
No, and there's, I guess some of that would be done by support at a commercial code company, wouldn't it? They're really selling support as far as I'm concerned. They're not really selling the code, the commercial code vendors. They're selling the fact that you can get on the phone to a fairly switched on PhD personage who will go, oh yeah, send it to me and I'll sort that out for you. I'll find out what you need to do to make this work. And that bit's pretty much absent with OpenFOAM, which isn't necessarily in itself a problem.
What services are you selling when you're doing this?
So I've got kind of there's two aspects to it. There's one that's sort of straight up CFD consultancy where you want something simulated or investigated. Usually it's a little bit more than the simulation normally. It's like, so a lot of my stuff's kind of still race car. So maybe you're developing a new race car or you're developing a new bit for your existing race car and you're interested in the results. You probably can't take it to the wind tunnel because there aren't that many places you can go. And to take something to the wind tunnel, particularly like full size, you have to have already made it, in which case it's a little bit late to be finding out that it doesn't work.
Let's say that I'm a Formula One race team and I'm investigating the idea of changing the tail fin on the car. What's it cost me to take that to a wind tunnel? I'm going to have to make a model, which no doubt is going to cost me a chunk of change.
Yeah, I mean the models are bananas.
What's bananas?
I mean,
10 grand?
it's
No. It can be way more than that, particularly at F1 type level.
So we're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars.
For those guys, yeah.
Right. And then the wind tunnel experience. And what's a wind tunnel going to cost you for the experience? Is that 10 grand a day, 20, 100 grand a day, that sort of money?
You can pay 15 grand a day for a tunnel to put a full size car in easily.
So 15 grand a day and a full size model that's going to cost you something in the order of 100 grand versus doing this in silicon. And that honestly that means paying for some consultancy and some compute power is kind of rounding error.
They're super interested in the result and what they can do with it. They're not interested in doing the CFD themselves. They're not interested in skilling up in that area or having the hardware and things like that. They want the result and then they moved on.
If you're enjoying these videos, please give us a like and consider subscribing to the channel so that we can keep making more to help you understand how the cloud works and to show you new ways to help all the scientists and engineers around you who use HPC every day to do amazing things. It's what gets us motivated as well. See you next time.